Hey everybody, it's your girl Vernique of Authentically of this whole John Gray, Aventer Gray situation. So as many of you guys have read, like I was in the beginning of the year, I did my little countdown for my most widely read blogs and my take on the John Gray, Aventer Gray situation. I believe it was called Three Reasons Why 3 Reasons Why John Gray's Not Wrong This Time or something like that. Shame, I don't even know the title of my own stuff. But basically, it was John Gray colon 3 reasons why he's not wrong this time. And I kind of, detailed my end and how I saw the whole situation when he was on the sister circle and the comments that he made that people were in an uproar about. Aventer Gray actually commented after reading my blog post stating that she agreed with it, and she wrote a lengthy comment stating that, she doesn't understand how people took it so left and all that kind of stuff. So it was actually a really cool experience. But child, they are back at it again, okay? They went this week on The Real, the talk show, and they talked about, I think in a way it was kind of like a PR thing, like let's kind of, you know, iron this whole thing out, because what happened was people dug up some tapes or a recording from May when they opened up their church, May of 2018, and was talking about like, well, wait a minute, there's a clip in there where he kind of talks, her, Avatar and John talk about an alleged kind of, they kind of allude to an affair type of situation. And so people were like, see, and they kind of linked it with the situation at Sister Circle, and we're like, look, he do be cheating. It was just like a whole thing. So I am here after their appearance on The Real. I just want to talk about some of the points that came up. I watched it. I'll link a video from another YouTuber who kind of was, she showed bits and pieces or whatever of the interview. So the first thing that you will notice if you saw was they were quick to say, one of the first things he said, because Adrian Balan, I believe, asked, did you cheat? And he said, the answer is no, I did not cheat. So, everybody clapped. Even Aventer was like, ah. And then he goes on to say that he didn't cheat, but it was an emotional affair. Yes, you heard me correctly. Because I wrote it down and I had the exact quote. He said, "No, I didn't have an affair." Then goes on to explain what he and I and the rest of the world now know to be an emotional affair. And the reason why I'm pointing that out is because a couple things. One, like, the idea that one is necessarily better than the other is really weird to me. Like, it was just an emotional affair. Like, it's not like I cheated, you know? And it's so weird because to me, as somebody who went through a situation where my ex was having an affair, it supposedly had started out that it was an emotional affair. I later found out that it very quickly escalated to a physical affair. But when I knew that it was just an emotional affair, it wrecked my whole perspective, outlook, everything. Like, I was devastated, and it was just an emotional affair to my knowledge at the time. So I just feel like it's so weird that, he said, no, I didn't have an affair, but then detailed an emotional affair. He was giving the woman detailed information about his marriage, like, I guess kind of venting to her, which is always a no, 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 no in marriage. Do not do that. Please do not vent to somebody of the opposite sex about your marriage. It is a surefire way to start an affair. Most affairs start out this way. Because what is the other person doing? Like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. They're soothing you. They're telling you that your wife is crazy. All that kind of stuff. Just don't do it. Have an accountability partner, have men or have women that you're close with that can handle kind of some of your issues, that will be a listening ear, and then give you back wisdom and not some type of foolery and just pacify you, okay? And then, you know, it's just weird to me because I think that in today's society, one, I think that the idea of an emotional affair is fairly new. I think like in our parents' age, or my parents' age, whatever, the generation before me, an emotional affair was kind of like, touch and go. Is it really an issue? Because there was nothing physical. As long as you come back home to me at night and you didn't do anything with somebody, we're good. But we now, I think, understand the effects of an emotional affair and how it can be just as devastating, and sometimes it's, for some people, more devastating than a physical affair. And so, what I mean, for those of you who don't know, by an emotional affair, we're talking, you are talking to the person, you're building a relationship. The only thing that's missing is sex, essentially. You have this relationship, you have this rapport with this person. It's it's intimate. It's very raw, very emotional. Like, the I love yous usually come quick. The feelings of infatuation, all that kind of stuff is all in there. And lots of times you have all these feelings because your spouse and you have gone through, or your girlfriend or boyfriend have gone through some tough stuff that you and this new person have not had to go through yet. So the grass seems greener, like, man, you're so easy to talk to and this and that, but you don't know the depth of that person just yet. And that's why they seem so easy, because you haven't gone through the trenches with them as you probably have with your current relationship. But anyway, I say all that to say, it was just weird to me that it was only an emotional affair, as if it wasn't devastating to Aventer, and as if it didn't count. An emotional affair is indeed an affair. You can't say, no, I didn't cheat, no, I didn't have an affair, and then detail to me an emotional affair. That was very strange. And then Aventer went on to say, I think as she responded, they asked her, what were your thoughts on the situation? How'd you react? Blah, blah, blah. And she was like, she said a bunch of stuff that was really good. And then she said, I feel like it had to happen for us to grow. And in some ways, I agree with that. Again, as somebody who went through it. But in other ways, I challenge that, because an affair is and always will be a choice. It is not God's will for you to cheat on your spouse so that way y'all can gain a stronger marriage, right? So I don't think, like, the choice of words, if we're going to be technical, I feel like it's off. Like, it had to happen. No, we could have grown by, like, talking through our issues, having a mature dialogue, you telling me what was going on with you, those types of things. Those types of things grow a relationship. Cheating, not so much. But I do understand the concept of, because one, not every relationship that encounters an affair has to break up. Sometimes you're able to work through it. Now, biblically, it is one of the only things that the Bible talks about is grounds for a divorce. And that's a whole nother topic. But a lot of people are able to work through that and build a stronger marriage. I've seen and read through the craziest stories. I'm talking about people had children outside of their relationship. One situation was crazy. Like, she not only had an affair, she had an affair with somebody who was a race. So it was and then she got pregnant. It was a very obvious affair. But her and her husband's marriage, after getting through that, you talking about a testimony. You talking about, like, a strong foundation, fierce love, authentic love, like a love that is so raw and real. They got through it though. But that's not everybody's portion. And I don't think everybody should feel mandated to do that. But that's also another topic and another question. So I just challenge the idea that, like, it had to happen. But at the same time, I understand her point. Like, there was some growth out of it, and maybe in some way she learned some things about her husband that she did not know, or that she did not realize prior to that situation, and maybe they are now able to address those things. But I don't feel like, I think in a lot of ways we've kind of desensitized ourselves to affairs and to cheating, because we just feel like, well, we'll grow through it. But I mean, the truth of the matter is, you don't have to. Like, there's no mandate to. And you shouldn't have to. Like, if somebody is not consistently choosing you, why do you have to stay? Like, it's not a mandated thing. But I understand why people do. And at one point, I was willing to as well. As intense and traumatizing as my situation was. But overall, I just don't want people to take in the idea that, like, this will be the thing that gets us to the next level, because it doesn't have to. It's a choice, and it's a very devastating choice. And sometimes people don't make it through that. So let's not, test the waters a little bit. Not saying that that's what Pastor John Gray was doing. The other thing they addressed was brokenness. She said this a lot. She was like, and he said it as well. And even in the May video at their church opening, their church inaugural service, they talked about like the strange woman, as they call her, spoke to the broken little boy within him. She spoke to his brokenness. And then they also talk about like how both of them are broken in various ways. Like, I'm broken, she's broken, we're broken. And I just feel like brokenness in like Christian lingo is such a weird term. It just is to me. Like, what does that really mean? There's scripture that talks about how we should be broken vessels before God, like, and or have a broken and a contrite spirit. And I think what that's talking about is a sense of humility, a sense of transparency and openness to the Lord. And I think that that's different than being broken, as in not whole. Which that word kind of irks me anyway, because in some ways everybody has things in them that is just maybe unhealthy, bad habits, whatever, and we're never gonna reach a point of perfection. But like, what is even brokenness when you address it? Like, is it healthy for two broken people to get married? Or is it an expectation like, we're both like, we'll figure it out together? And I don't mean to say that in a facetious way. I really mean it. Like, is it okay for two people who feel that they are broken, maybe that they have some areas in them that need maturing or some completion or whatever, to marry? Is there a limit to how much brokenness you can have? Like, is some brokenness okay, is some not? It's just, I know I'm asking questions instead of answering them. But my point is, like, I think in some ways we all come into relationships and things like that with a certain level of brokenness, maybe. But I think the extent of it, if it stops you from having and pursuing healthy relationships, you need to stay single and kind of get yourself together, right? Like, there's a level. I do think that there's kind of levels to brokenness. Like, there's a point where you should engage in relationships when you are sure of yourself, when you feel whole within yourself, like you don't need somebody or something to complete you. You have a lot of the resources and the capacity to be a person by yourself. But the other person that you like, but we're made to be in relationship, and there are things within relationship that are brought out of you and that mature in you because of that relationship. So relationships, I think, in some ways do address areas of brokenness, but not all of them. So that's why I think it's important to do as much work as possible before, in your single stages, so when you come in, you're not bringing toxicity or pain and hurt and baggage into a relationship that a strange man or woman can now speak to and interrupt your marriage. I think that had he been a little bit healthier and dealt with some of his trauma, which I'm sure, at the time that they got married, they've been married for a long time, maybe he didn't recognize those areas, but if he had resolved some of those areas and some of those issues, it would not have then intruded into his marriage. That's just kind of my take. Now, when she talks about, herself being broken or whatever, I'm kind of like, okay, but brokenness is also not an excuse. It's kind of like saying, like, I was abused, so that's why I abused others. Like, we still need to treat people and value people and honor people that we are in relationship with. And we need to treat them with respect. To the extent that if we are in a relationship, I am only in a relationship with you. And if I have areas of brokenness within me, I need to seek counseling, right? But maybe he didn't know, and so that's how the enemy slip in, child. Real soft, slick, and pretty. And before you know it, you're having an emotional affair. That's not an affair. All right, let me stop. That's petty. And so the other thing, I feel like this whole thing has kind of been blown out of proportion, to be honest. Because people cheat every day. People cheat every day, all the time. People should be cheating. Let's be honest. At least one person that has cheated or been cheated on. But because they're pastors and they have a church, it's like drawn out and blown out of proportion, and it's been going on for however long, and we're talking about his influence and all this kind of stuff. But like, pastors are people too. You know, they deal with the same things that we deal with. They just happen to have a platform and a gift. You know what I mean? So I think all the rah rah around this whole issue has been a bit much. Like, and on top of that, not trying to be funny, but pastors have been cheating since the dawn of time. Martin Luther King Jr., whom we all know and love and esteem, was known for cheating. Didn't stop him from being a great man. Didn't stop his gift. I feel bad for Coretta, but at the same time, she probably don't feel bad for herself. Hello, she married like one of the leaders of the civil rights movement, and so I think in some ways it's kind of like, should they know better? Sure. Should they practice what they preach? Sure. But they are still people, and there's nothing that they encounter that's different between what me and you encounter. So I think that I say all that to say, like, it's just this whole thing has been such a like big deal, and I don't think that it should be. My last point is, do they really owe people this level of transparency? Which goes back to my previous thing. Because they have a gift and a platform and, you know, the connections that they have, do they really owe people this much transparency about their marriage? You want my honest opinion? No, they don't. Like, to be honest, they don't. Even with me in my situation, I chose to open up because I believe that it was important to to my brand to do so. Like, I'm talking about being authentically wed. Let me be honest and let people know where I am in my relationship journey. And so I just don't think that they owe people this much transparency, though, because people have this entitlement when it comes to church leaders, religious leaders, etc. That they owe them, like, well, you need to give an explanation. Did he cheat? Why is she still with him? Like, I can't believe this and that. And everybody has all these opinions, but your auntie got cheated on by your uncle like 15 times and you ain't say nothing then. Did they owe you an explanation? Did auntie owe you an explanation as to why she's still with him? Or why he did it, why uncle did it, and stuff like that. So I feel like they don't really owe everybody this level of transparency, but they're choosing to do so. Now, let's be honest. In some ways, they're gaining off of it, right? They get to go on a TV show and promote their book and promote their church. And in all press is good press, really. Now, as believers, we should probably strive for more good press. But you know, they're choosing to be authentic about their marriage and their relationship and the things that they've encountered. And so I feel like kind of take it or leave it because they already don't owe it to you anyway. And so to feel like you need some solid explanation about what's going on in their marriage, I feel like is a bit much. Nobody owes you anything. I feel like that was a little rude. But my point is that I think just maybe let's leave them alone. And if you like them, like them. If you don't, don't. I, for one, am kind of on the fence. I follow Aventer. Um, and every so often, if I see a clip from John Gray that's dope and makes sense, cool. I got to see him preach last year, and it was great. You know what I mean? The man is gifted. But I just really think that we should kind of give him a break. Like, they let them be them. If they want to be married and be this rich bomb, what car was that? Was it a Rolls Royce or a Lamborghini or something? But let her have the car. He got money. He don't really need the church's money, fam. He doesn't. They got money. They got TV shows, book deals, all this kind of stuff, and a salary. If that's what he want to buy his wife, let him buy his wife that car, y'all. I get it. I get the outrage in churches using pastors using church funds for just ridiculous things. But if the church say he didn't, and you don't go to that church, and your ties don't go into that church, let it go, sis. So that's my take. I feel like it was really even sided. In some ways, I was like, eh. In some ways, I was like, eh. So let me know what you guys think. Comment, subscribe, share, all of that. And if you want to keep up with me, follow me on IG at AuthenticallyWed. And on my website, www.authenticallywed.com, and subscribe so that way you can stay in touch with me. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear your thoughts. All right.